You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up, happy Tuesday, film fans? You are listening to another new episode. You are listening to episode 387, and you're listening to Citizen Kane. And you're listening to another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am your host, Juan, and I'm joined by the cast, the crew, the fella. Zach, how you doing?
I'm good. Mr. Kane himself, absolutely.
Dude, we are on the road to the best of 2025 season. We kicked it off last week with discussing our top 5 worst movies of 2025. Tonight, we are kicking it off with our top 5 documentaries of 2025. I think this is going to be an excellent conversation. We're also getting ready to get into recent watches and recommendations. And then we're going to have a discussion of all discussions. A movie that we should have done long before today. We're talking Citizen Kane. Jam-packed episode, man. And then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Next week, we're talking about Scream 7, which debuts the day after tomorrow. And then the best of 2025, man. I can't wait for these next few weeks. So, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. It was pretty good. Went to the theater, went to a concert, Rascal Flatts on Saturday night at the Paycom. It's been a pretty good weekend. How about you, man?
So see, Zach is indeed in need of funds. He just went and seen Rascal Flatts. So help him put some funds back in his pocket, because we know that was a pretty hefty night for you, probably.
It was a hefty night, but you know what? It's worth it. Sometimes you just have to indulge yourself every once in a while.
Zach still doesn't have any headphones, so please scan Cine-Men 405 Cash App. Let's get Zach some proper headphones, because I think he's just listening to me on a speaker, right? My mouth is just coming out of a speaker.
It's like a silent era movie. It's just like there's no words coming out. Your mouth is just moving. So.
Or it could be. I was going to do something, but I don't want to lose my entire Japanese fan base. Anyway, let's get ready to get into today. We're talking Citizen Kane. If you guys did not join us last week, we had a very fun conversation about When Harry Met Sally. Biggest episodic downloads that we've had in history. It beat Top Gun Maverick. So I think this episode is hitting at like 11,000 downloads for the week. And
When Harry Met Sally?
When Harry Met Sally outdid Top Gun Maverick, man. The powers of love, I guess. And Billy Crystal. Look at Billy Crystal work magic. Look at him work. He's looking at his Billy Crystal ball of magic. So
Crystal Nation came out to support.
Yeah. It was the diner scene is what got us, probably.
There you go.
Because in the caption I said, watch Zach try to redo the diner scene.
It probably got a lot of negative reviews, let's be honest.
I'll do it. Yes. Yes. No. So let's dig in. Last week we talked about When Harry Met Sally. Go back and listen to that episode wherever you listen to podcasts: iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, including we're also on the Prescribed Films Network, #PFPN, or you're watching us live on EPISOE Raw Productions YouTube channel or Facebook Live. So go search us, listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That's us right there. Or there's Zach. Zach didn't want his picture up there, so I guess it's just me and my Quasimodo looking self. That is. Look, I got to get my money back. Look, I look deformed in this. Where's my other eye?
Did you actually pose for this picture, or did you send a picture in?
I sent a picture in. He just made me look like Quasimodo.
Maybe if you pose, you can. That. Maybe if you pose, maybe it'll look like a Da Vinci style artwork.
Yeah. No, we also know what Da Vinci did to some of his mannequins. I don't want that. But let's talk some recent watches, Zach. I'm excited to mention mine because I want you to ask what I thought about certain films. So I'm going to rapid fire go through mine, and if you want to know anything, just pause me. So I went through the Bad Boy movies. I talked about that last week, correct?
Yes.
I finished that with Bad Boys 3 and 4 this week. I watched Blue Moon, Jurassic World Rebirth, The Carpenter's Son, The Housemaid, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, The Secret Agent, Rental Family, Friendship. I'm starting the Now You See Me movies. And then I checked out Citizen Kane for this episode. And I also watched The Naked Gun this morning.
So, wow. I'll just be honest. I don't have that many recent watches. What do you think of Marty Supreme? You're a big A24 guy.
It's good. If you're not a Timothée Chalamet fan and you're not going to be after this movie, even though he nails that part, he's really good as an actor. His character is just a really bad person and a really selfish person. So there's that.
Did you think it had the same tone and artistic style as Uncut Gems, just like the unrelenting chaos of like that movie?
So Uncut Gems does not give you time to breathe. Marty Supreme gives you a little time to breathe. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think and this sounds bad too, I think Timothée Chalamet just overblows everybody as far as when it comes to his acting because he had nobody around him. He had to carry this movie on his method style of acting. I mean, who's he going toe to toe with?
Michael B. Jordan.
No. What's the rapper's name that he's acting with that's face to face with him?
The what?
The rapper he's in almost every scene with him in. Tyler, the Creator.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Is he's not around a cast that's gonna like help him out.
Yeah,
he's a big fish in a small pond kind of actor in this movie, if that makes sense.
I mean, the only quote unquote big name is Gwyneth Paltrow.
That's what I was about to say next. I even think he outshined Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. So, you think he's going to win it here in the next couple weeks?
Yeah. Aren't the Actors Award is this Sunday? They changed it. It's not the SAGs anymore. It's the Actors Award.
They're SAG, whatever.
I'll tell you my big surprise of the week is The Secret Agent and Rental Family.
I've heard Secret Agent's really good.
And Rental Family. Have you seen Rental Family?
I saw that in the theater. I thought that was like, other than The Whale, I thought that was one of Brendan Fraser's better performances.
I'm again surprised why he is not nominated because that movie that hits you in the field. It's a great movie. And The Carpenter's Son. It's good, man. It's really good. I thought the same thing. I had the same look in my face when I picked it up. I'm like, oh, Nicolas Cage? But it's a very side biblical story because in the Bible, it does not tell you what happens to Joseph, right? Like Jesus starts his ministries and Joseph kind of just disappears and you never hear from Joseph. This movie is like a Joseph side story. So it's really good. I highly recommend it. Rewatch Friendship. That was amazing. The Naked Gun, terrible. Never watch it again. The Housemaid was really good. I was really surprised with The Housemaid.
Yeah, it was like a Gone Girl type thriller.
Yeah. Sentimental Value can get out of here with that. Ain't nobody have time for that. What about you, man? What'd you check out?
Still watching The Pit on HBO Max. It's an incredible show. Went and saw Goat, the animated movie, with the talking animals and basketball. Yeah. That was actually pretty good. It's in the animated style of Into the Spider-Verse and all that stuff. I thought it was pretty good. I got to see it in the 3D 4DX, which if you get a chance, it's a good way of watching it. And then went and actually saw Epic, the Elvis Presley concert show. It was, it's only an hour and a half, but it's a great companion piece to the Austin Butler movie.
So
it's
that's what kind of got me confused. Is it real Elvis in a concert?
Yeah, it's real Elvis. Like when they were making the Austin Butler movie, they found by accident, like never before seen footage of one of Elvis's real concerts. And so they have been working on it for the last couple of years, and they compiled it into like a concert film. And it's really like it really, I think our generation and younger kind of forget how big of a deal Elvis was back in the day. And it's one reviewer said, if you didn't get a chance to see Elvis when he was popular, this is as close as you're going to get to that. And if you get a chance to go see it, I think it's totally worth it.
So what would that be classified under? Just a concert film, documentary? Would it be like Michael Jackson's Live or whatever?
I would probably. It's labeled as like if you Google it, it's like documentary music, and I would agree with that. Okay. There's obviously him performing, but there's also kind of like this is what was going on during that time and why he never got to tour outside the United States, and all these different things.
Well, let's dig into. We'll get ready to talk top 5, but before we get there, top 5 is presented to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurants. Visit them at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a call at 405-685-7773 for to-go order, or sit in and dine in at the best possible Mexican restaurant in the metro. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you and enjoy 10% off your entire purchase. We were there today for a fabulous meeting. Check them out again. San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Top 5, here it is. So today we are talking our top 5 documentary films, whether it be full length or short, for the year of 2025. Documentaries were a really big part of my life last year. They continue to get bigger and bigger for me as the years go on. When we first started this podcast, I was not in a lot of documentaries. And then Sir Zachary showed up and he's like, yeah, check this out, check that out. And I started developing a love for documentaries. So Zach, thanks to you, you have created a monster.
Yeah, I think you actually watched more documentaries last year than I did, so this will be interesting to see what you got on your list.
Number 5 for me, let's start it off. Number 5 is going to be Nevermore, The Raven Effect, a Raven documentary about the former professional wrestler. It's available on Amazon Prime. I think I rented it for like $5 or whatever. Dude, very, very interesting documentary. I know some people will roll their eyes when they're like, oh, a wrestling documentary, but it shows the story of Raven, his, growing up, how he develops and how his post-traumatic syndrome and his PTSD from back in the day developing with his family and how it flowed over to professional wrestling, his battle with addictions and injuries and going all the way to the top to performing with the WWF and then going all the way back down towards the bottom. If you're a fan of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, I think you will enjoy this documentary because that's exactly the kind of vibes it gave me. But man, to see his trials and tribulations, it's a great documentary. You're in and you're out. I think it's like only an hour and 40-minute documentary. So highly recommend it. That's number 5 for me is Nevermore, The Raven Effect. So what about you, Zach?
But before I do my number 5, I got 2 honorable mentions. I got Barbara Walters' Tell Me Everything on Hulu. Kind of looks at the examination of like her as a journalist and like how is she able to get all these different interviews with so many different various people. And my official honorable mention is being Eddie, the Eddie Murphy documentary on Netflix. If you like Eddie Murphy, I think you'd really enjoy it. Number 5, I'm probably going to get some flack for this just because it's not higher up. But number 5 for me is John Candy, I Like Me. The John Candy documentary on Amazon Prime, directed by Colin Hanks, produced by Ryan Reynolds. I'll be honest with you. The only John Candy film I have seen is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that we did a couple years back.
You're welcome.
But it really kind of gave me a desire to see it. But this documentary, man, it's so heartfelt. It reminds me a lot of the Mr. Rogers documentary. It really chronicles his rise to fame until his untimely death in 1994, and just someone that gave so much joy to people, but was really struggling with his internal demons or his like lack of like confidence in himself. And it's just, you can tell like all the people that were involved with this really cared and wanted to be the best thing possible. And it's fantastic. It's if you're a John Candy fan or even a comedy fan, I think you would really enjoy it. So that's my number 5.
See, I like how you brought that up. Like, with only seeing one John Candy film. I'm the same way. I think I've only seen probably a handful of his movies. So that's a good bring up. And I like how that documentary is easy to access.
Yeah.
So number 4 for me is going to be All the Empty Rooms on Netflix. I can't remember his name, but it's about the guy who he covers all the school shootings.
Oh, yeah.
And he was
Steve Hartman and Lou Bop.
Yeah, it's only 24 minutes or 25 minutes, but it's like really, really good. And it's just, if you have kids, it hits you in the feels because you're just like, how can you celebrate? How can you put into limelight school shootings, or how can you make a positive light out of them? And that's what he was trying to do. He's like, there's no way to do that, but what I can do is keep something for memory's sake for these parents that always want their kids to live on.
Yeah.
So you get hit so much in the feels in the first few minutes, and for it being a 24 minute documentary, it hits you right away. So
yeah, man, I haven't actually seen that I haven't actually seen the documentary itself, but I saw like a CBS Sunday Morning did like a brief profile on it, and I was like, that's anyone that has kids that, yeah, obviously you have kids, and I'm sure you fear for their safety every day when they go to school. I can't imagine, like, what do? You lose your only child to this heinous gun violence. What do you do with their stuff? Do you just let it, sit and collect dust, or do you make a memoriam out of it? What do you do?
yeah.
And just a little brief glimpse that I saw, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Check it out. It's 24 minutes. What about you, Zach? What's number 4 for you?
Number 4 is Wick is Pain. It had a small theatrical release, but ultimately I saw it on Netflix. It's a great, if you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, I think you'd really, really enjoy it. It does a very good job of tracking how this independent film that no one wanted to produce, no one wanted to make it. Keanu Reeves at that point was really struggling as an actor, and it just became this huge, big thing. Everyone wants to see the films when they come out, and Wick is Pain you find out that it's kind of like a phrase that the cast and crew and director kind of use as they're making the film, and it's just really interesting how something so little can become such a huge popular phenomenon, and I think it does a great job of explaining that or showing that. So that's my number 4.
Number 4. Number 3 for me is going to be Being Eddie. You mentioned it earlier. I think Being Eddie is a really fascinating documentary about Eddie Murphy, his lifestyle, and the era of comedy he grew up. A lot of people don't talk about his era being probably better than like the Mel Brooks or the era before him. And if you look at it, like it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I also like the ending about him teasing coming back to stand up with his 2 puppets. I don't want to spoil it, but I thought that was funny.
Do you really think I'm going to ask? I got to do something. Just go ahead. I'm going to ask you a question. Go ahead and answer it. Do you really think he's going to come back to stand-up comedy, or do you think that's kind of like a myth that it's going to happen?
No, I think it's going to happen. His kids are all grown up. They can now listen and watch the stuff he didn't want them to when he was doing like Shrek and stuff. So I think he's going to come back eventually. I think he's waiting for the right time. I think he's writing in the right stuff, the right material. I think with Netflix picking up this documentary, I think boom, the secret's already out of the bag. I think it's going to be a huge Netflix special. I think it's going to be a Netflix live event. So I think they're just waiting on the right time. So
do you think that I totally agree with you. I think it'll be like a special Netflix live event, but do you think he'll go on tour, or do you think he'll just be like a one stand-up?
no. I don't think he'll go on tour. I think it'll just be like a one-time event. So like a boxing event or something.
If he comes here if he goes on tour and comes here to Oklahoma, we got to go see him. Just saying.
No, I'm sure tickets are going to be so outrageous.
No.
So what about number 3 for you?
Number 3 is something that is very much in my wheelhouse. Number 3 is a Netflix documentary called The New Yorker at 100. And it once again, it kind of chronicles how the New Yorker became, when it first came out, is kind of like this pulpy, kind of raunchy magazine, but it's evolved into like profile pieces about today's times and politics and entertainment and all this type of stuff. It's really cool that all the different magazine covers that they've done over the years, and it's a very well made documentary that I like. I was excited to watch it, and like it's only like an hour and 30 minutes, which most documentaries are. But yeah, I still have value in magazines, as weird as that is to say in today's time. And I think the New Yorker is definitely up there. There's not a lot of stuff I like to read magazine wise, but if there's a couple articles in addition of the magazine, I like to read it.
Number 2 for me is on HBO Max, but number 2 for me is going to be the Alabama Solution. It's about the Alabama prison system and how corrupt that business is in Alabama, with live actual video footage from inmate cell phones and stuff. Highly recommend it. It is brutal. It is graphic. So I recommend watching it without the kiddos. But the Alabama Solution is probably one of the best documentaries, if not the best, that I saw last year. And that's what I have at number 2.
And it got nominated for Best Documentary for the Oscars this year, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah.
So you have two of your documentaries. The Alabama Solution got nominated for Best Documentary Feature, and then the All the Empty Rooms got nominated for Best Documentary Short. So, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny striked out gold literally with 2 of his. So
have you seen any of those? Man, interesting stuff, man. The Alabama Solution, I didn't think my eyes were going to be as glued onto the screen as they were, but I did not move whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
my number 2 is literally a lot, which I guess I didn't want to spoil it for this list. My number 2 is definitely up in our wheelhouse as film fans. Number 2 is Mr. Scorsese on Apple TV Plus. If you are a film nerd like us, you're totally going to enjoy it. Each episode
is that this year?
Yeah, it was last year.
Oh man,
it came out like in October, and I think they released it like an episode a week. Each episode's like a section of his life, whether it be him growing up, the relationship with him and De Niro, his flops like Last Temptation of Christ, and the King of Comedies, or the King of Comedy that doesn't really fit well with audiences. And then kind of his comeback with Goodfellas, and the last episode is him with his collaboration with DiCaprio. So it's real fun. It's so enjoyable. There are things in there that I didn't even know. and it kind of made me want to go on a binge of his films, honestly, because there's some of his like we're going to be talking about Raging Bull and Taxi Driver probably later here in the next couple weeks, but sorry, Mean Streets, Last Temptation of Christ, King of Comedy. I've never seen those, and so it kind of gave me like an itch to watch those. So I can't wait for you to watch it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
You said it talks about silence too.
It mentions it. Yeah, it does. Talks about Silence and Hugo and Killers of his more recent films. So yeah.
Okay, nice. This is it. Number one for me. I almost put it on there, but I'm like, the Mel Brooks documentary was up there. But that's this year. There's so many more new documentaries that are getting ready to come out that I just cannot wait. So to talk about 2026 documentaries next year is going to be really fun as well. But number one for me is John Candy, I Like Me. Not really resonant or not really, how can I put this? Not really grew up on John Candy, but just like I said, seeing a handful of his movies, whether it be Uncle Buck, Home Alone, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Spaceballs. There's so many John Candy movies. I'll probably say about 10 that I've seen. The Great Outdoors. I just love the way this documentary is put together. Like you said, his friends, his family, his son, his wife, they did not want to disappoint. And it made me realize that the way John Candy went out, yeah, he was young. It was sad. It wasn't meant to be. But the way his legacy is left, I feel like that's what everybody wants to accomplish when they go, is the legacy he left behind. And, everybody said in that documentary, he was the best person I know. Mm-hmm. He was kind, he was gentle, he was friendly. The stuff that you learn about him in the Toronto Football League, the stuff you learn about him in Toronto in general, or the hockey that he loved, like, he's just an all-around perfect dude. And it's sad the way things ended. It makes me wonder, like, dude, what is Sandler doing? Like, get us a Chris Farley documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But this John Candy documentary is absolutely amazing. Go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. It's my number one.
My number one is going to be, every time this guy releases a documentary, I'm always psyched for, just regardless of the subject matter. My number one is Ken Burns, The American Revolution. I think it's like 6 or 7 episodes. Each episode's like 2.5 hours each. So you learn a lot. So it's basically a 6-hour documentary about, how we became a country and how the American Revolution played a big part in that. It's so, there was a lot of stuff that, like, I knew. History is like one of my favorite things to learn about. And so, I mean, I knew a lot. I knew the basic stuff about the American Revolution, but there was a lot in there that I didn't even know. And that's why I like to watch his Ken Burns documentaries. Like I said, they're all long, and like, you got to take breaks from them every once in a while. But this one, it did not disappoint, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that was my number one documentary of last year.
Nice. See, I like Zach in your documentary list because, like, it's we all watch documentaries to learn stuff, but a lot of your documentaries you watch to learn stuff, and it's like nice to know history. So I like that. Great top 5. That was a nice little fun conversation and discussion. But now let's get into what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about Citizen Kane. IMDb currently has it at an 8.2, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, 100 on the Metascore, and a 4.2 on the Letterboxd out of 5. This film won 1 Oscar, nominated for 9, with a release date of September 5th, 1941. with a budget of $839,000. It grossed a little over $1.9 million at the box office. This is IMDb number 110 out of 250, which I'm surprised about. But today we're talking about Citizen Kane. Following the death of publishing tycoon Charles Foster Kane, reporters scrambled to uncover the meaning of his final utterance, Rosebud. Starring Orson Welles, Joseph Cotton, Dorothy Cummingore. Directed by Orson Welles. Also starring Ruth Warrick, Ray Collins, Agnes Moorehead. Zach, let's get into it. Do you remember the first time that you checked out this movie? Where were you? What was it like? And what was it revisiting it for this time around?
So yeah, I've seen this movie before. So this is actually my second full rewatch of it. Honestly, I think I was in college the first time I saw this, not because of a film class, but because we had like a little section in the library. I was like off to the side. There was like where you had like Blu-rays and stuff like that. I think our DVDs, and I watched it, and honestly, man, the first time I watched it, I did not like it. I was like, why is this number one? I don't understand. I just don't get like the appeal for it, number one. But number two, what is it about this movie that makes it like, oh, this is like out of everything that's been made, American wise, this is the best one. And I just threw it aside, and especially since like you go through the whole film, and spoiler alert for 85-year-old movie, that the Rosebud is his sled when he was a kid, 31 minutes into the show. But when you said we were going to do it, no, man, what is wrong with you? We got to do an upgrade, man. Let's go. But when you said you wanted to do it for the show, I was like, yeah, I think it's appropriate, and B, I think it'd be an interesting rewatch. On this rewatch, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll get into it, but I'm not gonna say this is one of my favorite movies of all time now, but I had a great time rewatching it. What about you?
This movie is the biggest piece of Rosebud trash that I have ever seen. This is my fourth time watching this movie, and every single time I watch it, I'm like, you know what? Not only does it deserve its 110th spot on the IMDb top 250, but it deserves to be a little bit lower. Citizen Kane is the biggest piece of American overblown film I could probably ever put my finger on. I think it's a one-hit wonder with Orson Welles. He didn't do anything after Citizen Kane. He didn't do anything before Citizen Kane. And I think this is the perfect example of old white men sitting in their couch, putting a film up to be on a pedestal that has no idea what they're talking about. That's my rant of the day. That is Citizen Kane. And yeah, I could not wait for this movie to get over with. It felt like homework. It took me 3 tries to watch it this fourth time around. And it's, and my grade is fair. Don't get me wrong, because I can tell why it's interesting, and it's always like I can feel that the movie is there, but for some reason I keep falling 2 steps back. Like if somebody said this movie is on their Mount Rushmore, I would be like, okay, did you redo your Mount Rushmore to have 10 heads on it? Because this is nowhere near a top 5 movie.
All right. Starting off with a bang, I see. All right. Look, I can acknowledge that this movie is not for everyone. I don't know about the whole, this is a old white man's, this is the reason why this is number one's opinion about this. I will say that I enjoyed the ride this time around. I enjoyed the.
Let me ask you. Go ahead. You enjoyed the.
I enjoyed the mystery buildup of what exactly is Rosebud and just like the psychological breakdown of who Charles Foster Kane is. And I thought it was an interesting concept for a film, I guess I would say.
What is the ride for you? And I know you just said the way of finding out what Rosebud is, but I feel like when you're on this Citizen Kane masterpiece of a ride, and you finally find out what Rosebud is and what the MacGuffin is, the entire time you're like, dude. And it's not even the nice new Rosebud or the nice new sled he got from Grandpappy, the guy who bought him. And that's a whole nother interesting concept in itself. That's another reason why I had issues with this film, to be honest with you. And I think, going back and, oh yeah, Rosebud was the sled that he had when he was a kid that his mom and dad got him, and he had to leave it back. Where were they from? Wisconsin?
Something like that, yeah.
So, he had to leave it back behind, and, I get that, but I also don't see that. Another reason why I did not like the film is I found it to be very cringy when it comes to the acting. Orson Welles, to me, was not a worthy person of a nomination of Best Actor for this time. Zach, I know you probably already have it listed up as far as who he went up against that year for Best Actor, and maybe what Citizen Kane went up against that year for Best Picture. But like, there were plenty of scenes where I'm like, okay, Orson Welles is kind of laughable at certain scenes where I don't know if he's trying to be serious or if he's just, if that's just a character. But I felt like it was very like his acting was like very cheesy in certain ways that kind of stuck to me. Now, don't get me wrong. There's two scenes that I'm going to point out a little bit later where I'm like, okay, I can definitely see some chops, but that was it out of the entire 2-hour movie that felt like it was 3.5 hours. And I love classic films, but the pacing of this movie was just off the rocks to me.
I don't know how to defend this because like the way, I'm going to disagree with you, man, because it's I think that Orson Welles' performance is so spot on. I think the technical and the cinematography in this is so incredible. Like, it's so really well done for it to be like a film from the 40s, and there's no visual effects. This is all done by practical effects, by matte paintings, by camera illusions, composite shots. I thought that all that was well done. Like, it was like a feast for my eyes of like, okay, where does the shot end that's real, and then it goes to the miniature, then it cuts back up to like the opera scene where she's singing, it rises up into the rafters, and like that's a composite shot of a miniature, then it goes up to even further, and it's like you can tell that that's a set with two people standing there. So like that part of it to me I thought was really entertaining to watch. And like I said, the journey of who is Charles Foster Kane, what's his motive. I understand that he is definitely someone that it doesn't really explain it that much, but I think it gives enough hints to say that this is someone that really didn't have the childhood that everyone deserves, but that also builds him up to be the character he is by the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, no. So when I go back, don't get me wrong, the pacing of this movie, big problem. Orson Welles, big problem. I do agree with you with how it looks beautiful for a 1940 movie. 1940s, it is fantastic to look at, especially if you're rewatching it in the newly Criterion Collection 4K that's remastered. It looks absolutely stunning. The sound, don't get me wrong, the sound is huge, especially when it starts talking about the news of the day and, towards the ending.
News. News on the march.
Yeah. And then the scene where he's going through and it talks about his ex-wife, and then he's having like the lady trouble with the new one. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot to like about this movie, but I do have a problem with it being so high on a lot of people's to-do lists. That's where my problem is.
No, I will totally agree with you on that point. The idea that
this is a GOAT film.
Yeah, this is a GOAT film, and like when you can I have the American Film Institute's the top 100 films ever made, like their list. I'll just read you the top 10. Citizen Kane's number 1, The Godfather, Casablanca, Raging Bull, Singing in the Rain, Gone with the Wind, Lawrence of Arabia, Schindler's List, Vertigo, and The Wizard of Oz. Those are the top 10 films that they deem like the best. I totally agree with you that The Godfather, Casablanca, Singing in the Rain, any one of those I think is what, like, I would watch any of those films more than this one.
Right. So I think that has a lot to play with in my dislike of this watch.
Yeah, and that's totally valid. That's completely understandable.
And also, did we see who Orson Welles went up against that year? I'm glad he didn't win it, but there's plenty of scenes where I'm kind of just like, when I'm talking 40s, I'm used to seeing Jimmy Stewart. I'm used to seeing, maybe Dean Martin. Orson Welles, like, what did he do after this? Like, no, like I'm not entertained by you at all.
And that's the thing, that it's kind of bonkers that this movie. I was gonna text you and say, should we wait, because this is like celebrating 85 years later this year. It's gonna have like a Turner Classic Movies and Fathom Events is gonna do like a re-release in July. I was like, should we wait to do this? That year, the movie that won Best Picture was How Green Was My Valley. That's a John Ford. The other nominees were Blossoms in the Dust, Citizen Kane, Here Comes Mr. Jordan, Hold Back the Dawn, The Little Foxes, The Maltese Falcon, One Foot in Heaven, Sergeant York, and Suspicion. That's a Hitchcock film. And really, out of all those,
The Maltese Falcon,
Citizen Kane, and Suspicion are the ones that, like, I think in today's film nerdom, those are the ones that people remember more than How Green Was My Valley.
Yeah, the Maltese Falcon for sure. I would have been like, oh, that's the one. That's the one that wins.
Yeah. Orson Welles lost to Gary Cooper and Sergeant York. He was also nominated against Cary Grant, Walter Houston, Robert Montgomery. So I think this film, it's so hard to talk about something that, like, it's like would you say that you vehemently hate this movie, or is it just like I don't understand the praise for it?
I don't understand the praise for it. It's not necessarily that I hate the film. If I'm sitting here like, okay, if I had to guess my own review, IMDb 8.2, I would give it 6.5. Rotten Tomatoes 99%, 85%. Meta 100, 80. And then I'm not going to do Letterboxd because that'll show my rating. But Letterboxd is a 4.2 out of 5. So that's how this is not a greatest of all time film. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to continue to trash on it because it's not a horrible film. It's not.
Yeah.
Also me watching it at maybe 4:00 in the morning when nobody was around me also probably helped put me to sleep. But
and that was the thing, because with this film, I really wanted to pay attention and kind of get the grasp of why, just try to understand why people love it. So I kept my phone in the other room so I could actually pay attention to it.
Same.
And so I don't know, man. It just, because I'm going to be honest with you. I was ready to come on here and be like, I like you, like, I don't get it. Like, what is it about this film that people love? And I just had a different reaction to it. And I think,
which is good,
some of it has to do with I kind of know the backstory of this film and how I think the thing that is very impressive is that, granted, there is like freaking 8 hours of bonus features on the Criterion. I watched this hour and a half documentary, The Complete Citizen Kane, a rarely seen feature-length BBC documentary. It gave a lot of inside information. Like it was a lot of archival interviews with different members of the cast and creators of the film. So it helped a lot with the understanding of the movie. But the biggest thing is I understood it because it's not so much a biopic, but it is very heavily influenced on William Randolph Hearst, who was a tycoon newspaper tycoon back in the day. And if you watch the documentary, they kind of explain who William Randolph Hearst was compared to Orson Welles, this film. And it was very much paralleled. Like you could like pick the differences in between what goes to what. And so I thought that was real fun. I thought just like the whole history and the idea that Orson Welles had never done film. He was considered very much a prodigy back in the day. He had done Broadway plays. He had done the War of the Worlds broadcast a couple years before this, which if you know anything about that was like a huge big deal, essentially. And then he was only 24 when he made this, so this is like it was like he wanted to do something special with film, and I think he really pulled that off, to be honest.
Yeah, and looking back at it, he did. Like this movie, whether it was a one-hit wonder for him or not, guess what? It skyrocketed him into likes that he had never seen before, and quite frankly, he never saw again. That's how high the rocket took him.
And that's the other thing, because I totally agree with you what you said on the outset. With the exception of Citizen Kane, what other film does people know him from? And the only thing that I could think of closest to this was Touch of Evil, which was about 12 years after this came out, which I haven't seen, but
and you know what?
But that's like the closest thing that came to that level.
I believe even that movie, A Touch of Evil, is like not even that popular. It's what Tony Montana was watching, I believe, in it was either Tony Montana. Yeah, right? Am I right?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Or it was either that or it was in Blood In, Blood Out, one of those two movies. So, but yeah, I mean, either way, like I said, Zach, I'm not sitting here trashing this movie. This is a very good movie. And you'll see in my rating later, but I just don't see this being a GOAT film. So, but I agree with you. I'm going to get into a favorite scene or two, if that's fine. Unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on Citizen Kane.
There's just two more things. If you just indulge me just a little bit. I thought it was very interesting that literally the first opening 10 minutes of the film with the news on the march literally shows you what the whole film's going to be in that 10-minute newsreel. And I thought that was a very interesting way of not only a storytelling device of who this character is, but also predicting what was coming. And I thought that was a very interesting way of doing that. And I want to ask you, I think I don't mean to sound this like so bougie the way I'm going to say this. I think people that don't understand the film of the reveal at the end that the Rosebud is the childhood sled that he adored, or he was playing with at the beginning of the movie. I think it's a simplistic way of saying like, oh, he just misses his sled. I don't feel that way. On this rewatch, I thought it was very poignant to say this is a man who could buy anything, could tell people what to think, literally has every statue, animal, jewel that he could buy all over the world, but he can't buy back what he was unable to attain this entire time. I thought that was a very poignant way of saying it, but without actually telling it. Does that make sense?
Which is his parents, right?
His parents, but not only his parents, but just that innocence that every child should have is just taken away from him, essentially. Even though he grew up with money, but it doesn't solve every problem.
So this is what I had an issue with when it comes to him being sold. Why? Would you, are you that hard up as a parent or as a family that you have to give up your son? B, part two, when he turns 18 and he has all that money, why not just go back and, unless I missed that something bad happened to his parents, why not just go rescue your parents? Why not go Anakin Skywalker that stuff? unless stormtroopers had already shot them cold.
But I think a lot of people would have problem with that. It doesn't really give the whole story of what happened to his parents, but I don't think you really need that.
And so that's another reason why the plot, the subplot to me is kind of there's holes left, because here's this rich and powerful tycoon who owns multi-million dollars worth of newspapers and buildings across the whole country, but yet he can't go back to try to, you know what I mean? So that's a big plot hole that I'm just kind of that's also what makes me not feel sorry for the character.
No. But on the flip side of the coin, that's why I feel sorry for the character, because he could buy every riches in the world, but he can't buy back what he lost as a child. I think that's a very poignant thing.
But again, I guess you could also go back and look that he didn't want to go back and either rescue or think of his parents, because maybe at the end of the day he's like, oh, they got rid of me.
Yeah.
So
do you think you think he's a villain in his own making?
I think he's a villain in his own story, but we're meant to feel sorry for what monster he had originally became, which wasn't his fault, but he didn't do anything to reverse it either.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense.
Which again, that's great storytelling. That's a great movie. That's a great plot. There's a few plot holes in the film for me, but I'm not going to sit here and, oh, nope, it's a 1, it's a 2, because I don't appreciate the plot holes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think this is a great conversation. That's just look, I get why it's number 1. Do I agree with it? No, because I mean, I could name 5 other films that should be in that spot, but I understand its place in film history, and I respect it. While you on the other side of the coin says you respect it, but it's just no, it doesn't deserve the GOAT spot.
I could name 5 movies I'm looking at right now that's better: Rental Family, The Long Walk, Springsteen, Jurassic World Rebirth, and The Carpenter's Son, and Begonia. Those 6 movies are better than Citizen Kane.
There you go.
Oh no, I just gave away my top 5. No. Did I?
No. Oh, well, I mean, sure, in 2 weeks, you'll know our top 5 of 2025. So just be prepared for that.
If I had to name some favorite scenes from Citizen Kane, it would for sure be the scene where he's, getting dumped by his parents. Because you do get the grasp of, is mom coming? Why isn't mom coming? You can see the hurt and the look on the dad's face. And then my other favorite scene would probably be the opening 10-minute scene where you get a gist of how things are going to go. Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think my favorite scene is the news on the march newsreel, and kind of honestly the Jerry Thompson character, the reporter trying to find out what the meaning of Rosebud is, but you also unravel all this trauma and, you know, wealth, and every character that knew Kane, either I think all the characters really cared about him, but at the end of the day, he pushed them away because like he's like lacking like this ability to understand human emotions and how relationships work because he's so blinded by his success.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I don't really want to go down this political rabbit hole, but it's just I thought how prevalent the movie is in today's time, especially when he loses the mayor campaign and the front of the newspaper says fraud at the polls. I was like, wow, that's so relevant in 2026 as we're recording, as I watch this.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, that's a whole nother discussion.
I'm going to give my star rating away, and it's going to be a 3. We'll give it a 3 out of 5. Will this be a film that I want to revisit in the next few years? Absolutely not. But I got to respect it, and I got to give it its bow. I got to give it its flowers in some form or fashion, and it's a 3. Zach?
That's fair. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to give it a 4. The cinematography, the technical aspect of the film, the performances, like I said, the fable of very much on William Randolph Hearst and how that kind of really had like a very lasting dark cloud on the film, pretty much all the way until like, you know, most of Orson Welles' career. Like, you know, he pretty much put out a statement saying, "Hey, if you put this movie in theaters, I'll basically destroy you." Essentially, he was very much that type of powerful tycoon, like someone like a Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos is today. Essentially, I do think that the script is very deserving of best original screenplay, and like I said, it. You know, here on the show, rewatchability is very much a factor in our conversation. This is not something I'm going to rewatch in the next 10 years, to be honest. But like I said on the outset, I thought it was a great rewatch and understanding of this film and how it's place in cinema history. So sorry, that's a long-winded way of saying that.
No, you're good. So this theme this year is IMDb's top 250. This movie ranks 110 out of top 250. What do you think? Does it deserve to be higher, lower, right where it's at? And I was surprised where I saw when I seen 110. I was like, huh?
Honestly, I think it deserves to be higher, maybe in the top 50. Honestly,
top 50.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say it deserves to be 10 spots higher. I think it deserves to be in the top 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me put it like 98. So
98. So like just barely inside the top 100.
Yeah, I think it should be in the top 100.
That's
Next week, I'm really hoping this isn't another I Know What You Did Last Summer requel. Next week, we are talking Scream 7. Nev Campbell comes back. Courtney Cox, Mason Gooding. A who's who of cast is going to be in it. This is another Who Done It. You know, Scream 8 has already been greenlit because screenings for Scream 7 have been so fantastic. And I think this is going to be the highest opening weekend out of any film in the franchise. It's going to make for great conversation next week. I just hope we both don't hate it. What do you think, Zach? Looking forward to Scream 7? I know you weren't really a fan of the franchise before we reviewed all 6 of them here. I even still don't know if you're a fan of the 6.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be honest and say that, like you said on the outset, I'm not a fan of this franchise. I'm just like, why do we have 7 Scream movies? We'll get that answer next week, but it's just like, why? But I will say that
before you go, I think we can all agree that none of these 6 films are as bad as some of those Halloween or Jason movies are.
Oh no! I totally agree with you on that. But I will say that with the reboot, with the requel that happened in 2021 or something, Scream 5, I think it's brought up. There's like a level of good that's like, I thought 6 was actually really well done, and I thought it brought the violence to a whole new level. And so I'm hoping that, we don't have Melissa Barrera, we don't have Jenna Ortega. I'm hoping that going back to basics and bringing Neve Campbell back. I'm hoping that there's still some mystery left in the canon. We're just not doing this just for a cash grab. So that's my hope for it.
Same. I think there's still a story to be told with these legacy characters. It's going to be interesting to see who makes it and who doesn't. It comes out on one of the biggest weekends as well as my life. But I'm like, you know what? A franchise that is so near and dear to my heart next to somebody else who is so near and dear to my heart. So I think that's funny. And guess what we're doing for? No, I'm just messing with you. But I think it's going to be
or Scream 7. That's what you got to decide.
Guess who wins, Daddy?
Right.
I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm just hoping the 2-hour movie doesn't feel 2 hours. And like you said, I just hope it's not a Ghostface film for a cash grab, which I don't think that's going to be the case. So next week should be fun. We go back to the theater, and it's our first 2026 movie that we're reviewing. So next week, we're also going to talk our top 5 2026 movies that we're looking forward to. That should be a fun episode next week, and another new episode as we review and discuss Scream 7 next week on a whole new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Have a good week.